a third made some concessions, the conversation has continued to move away from reducing the amount of people going through the system. So while Kushner and even the Koch brothers have spoken out against mandatory minimums, it's not a deal breaker even though it really should be. And here's why that is. Remember those private prisons who donated to the Trump campaign? Companies like CoreCivic, formerly the Corrections Corporation of America, who saw their stocks go up when Trump was elected? Well, it turns out that these companies are trying to be the ones also doing the prison reform, squeezing out community groups in favor of implementing complicated rehabilitation programs that trap ex-cons into a continued relationship with the criminal justice system. You know, the kind designed to make money. Not to mention that these private prisons are rock hard with their dicks for Trump's immigration stance, meaning that they get the good PR from being pro-reform while simply switching their business model to tormenting ICE detainees. But also, remember how Texas has paved the way for future prisons? That was partially thanks to Chuck DeVore of the Tea Party, who became the leader of a conservative think tank called the Texas Public Policy Foundation. The TPPF, or is a heavy advocate of laws put forward by another group called the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. They have defended ALEC and hosted summits with ALEC members as guest speakers. And ALEC is a big quote marks, non-profit conservative organization that serves as a liaison between the private sector and state legislators to collaborate on bills that better serve corporations over people. They are the subject of multiple documentaries about the prison industrial complex and are behind such terrible things as the Stand Your Ground law and climate change denial. Until recently, they have had a history of supporting longer sentencing thanks to their ties with private prisons. But as the current prison system has proven disastrous and unpopular, even ALEC has begun pushing bills for reform. And it's weird, right? Why would such a pro-business group suddenly care about prisoner rehabilitation? It might have something to do with a 2007 brief by the company suggesting releasing people early from prison with conditional release bonds, similar to bail bonds, effectively setting up bonding companies as private parole agencies. In other words, shifting the corporate interest from keeping people in jail to monitoring and extorting people who just got out of jail. We desperately need prison reform, which is why this is a nonpartisan issue and many liberal groups are willing to work with Kushner on this. It's why the president met with Kim Kardashian recently. But if we simply replace one exploitative system designed to profit corporations with an entirely different exploitative system designed to profit those same corporations, then... Speaking of prisons and dystopias and exploitation, President Donald Trump is a kind, compassionate, effective leader who did everything in his power to bring justice to Alice Johnson and commute her sentence after decades for a nonviolent first-time drug dealing offense, thanks to Kim Kardashian, who has campaigned for Alice for a long time and who can be seen here realizing in real time that Trump probably used her for political reasons.
Trump is using you as a political pawn, so now you're sort of, you've endorsed him in a way, you've kind of given him legitimacy. You might be in a campaign video, he used you.
I think Kanye's already given him legitimacy, so I don't, in that way. So I was working on this before, so I don't, I don't think I would be used, and at the end of the day.
Now, that's a pretty funny realization to watch, but it's also a real bummer because she has been working towards this for a long time, and it's good that this person is free. But also, yeah, Trump doesn't care about this and will use it to his advantage in the future. It's just a political win without actually doing anything to change what put Alice there in the first place. I'll cite Trumpist propagandist and Trump sycophant Charlie Kirk, currently the captain of Libertarian Campus Project Turning Point USA, a non-profit funded by billionaires like the Koch brothers again, that definitely doesn't engage in political activity. And sorry, real quick, but breaking news, the president's nonprofit is being sued for illegal activity and letting the Trump campaign dictate who the charity donates to, despite fight a ban on political activity by nonprofits. Side note, the Trump administration has been trying to overturn the Johnson Amendment, which prohibits nonprofits from engaging in politics. This happened on his birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. President. And good luck with your crime stuff. But back to these people not caring about prison reform or criminal justice. Here's non-political activity engager Charlie Kirk, seen here on Fox News next to the president's sons, tweeting, "Trump courageously signs a pardon for Alice Johnson, an elderly woman over-sentenced for a non-violent drug charge and her first offense. Obama refused to do this, and Trump has stepped up to plate to right a wrong." And just a few corrections. Step up to the plate, Charlie. And also, let's not use the word courageously, because is it? And Charlie, you also got the word pardon wrong. Trump commuted her sentence. A pardon restores a person's civil rights that they lost after being convicted of their crime, like Trump courageously did for Joe Arpaio. A commutation reduces a person's sentence. One could argue the more courageous thing to do would be a full pardon. But whatever, it's still good. And the rest of your tweet is true. Obama didn't do it, and Alice did ask him, and he should have. But also, hey Charlie, do you remember saying, on his last day in office, Obama pardoned the sentences of 330 federal inmates convicted of drug crimes, releasing them back on the streets? Which brings us to a segment we like to call, You Don't Care. You should remember saying this, Charlie. I assume you're like the president and have one of the great memories of all time. Also, these tweets were 4 days apart, buddy. But it doesn't matter if you don't remember, because you also don't care. There's a reason you're happy about Alice Johnson, a drug criminal, being released back on the street. And you're mad about 330 unnamed drug criminals being released back on the street. You don't care. Trump doesn't care about criminal justice or prison reform. He pardoned Joe Arpaio, proud owner of tent cities, camps for prisoners, and proud proponent of bringing back the chain gang. He should be very proud. He should be very Joe Arpaio. Trump doesn't care about freeing a drug dealer from her imprisonment. He wants to execute drug dealers. He said it a few times, and he just generally wants to bring back the death penalty. He said that many times. So yes, he does get that campaign photo, and it is spectacular news for Alice Johnson. And it's a shame that it took a very famous and rich woman along with a man's desire for political points to accomplish it. But it's a shamier that the actual president doesn't actually care about this stuff. If he did, he probably wouldn't have turned a protest about police brutality and a history of killing people of color with impunity into a protest against the country and the flag and the troops and the hymn. Even though Kaepernick initially sat for the anthem, then started kneeling to show respect to the troops after discussing it with veteran Nate Boyer. But anyway, who cares? That person no longer works at the NFL, which has, here's some news, introduced new rules to the game. If you want to protest, don't leave the locker room during the national anthem, and if you get out on the field and kneel, you'll be fined. Now, a lot of people might view this as a free speech issue, but some might say, but news dude, this was a business decision. The NFL is a business. It can do whatever it wants if it's losing sales. It has nothing to do with the president who tweeted about the issue this many times, but did say on TV,
I think the people pushed it forward. This was not me.
But also, according to a deposition from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, the president said, "You can't win this one. This is a very winning, strong issue for me. Tell everybody, you can't win this one. This one lifts me." And then Jerry just f***ing told the other owners, and the following year they made a rule to silence the protesters. And since this rule, some people have shared an article from, well, Nazi times. And it's about, well, failed to give Nazi salute, German football club banned for 12 months. Now, I'm not one to look at our smartest and also bravest, but also healthiest president ever and call him a fascist. You know, I'm not one to see some Hitlerian kind of thing and go, wait, that's kind of what this president guy's doing. You know, because while fascism is a fluid, reactionary, and dictatorial movement against the left that goes through different stages and is something that historians still struggle to define, there are similarities. And one of the biggest ones is this chauvinistic